And for more on the auto news of the day, we are pleased to once again be joined by Lauren Fix, the car coach. Lauren, thanks for being with us. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well.
So let's talk about GM first. So, what do we know about Mr. Roos? How did he do running Cadillac?
Well, actually, I know Mark Reuss really well. I handed him the North
Of course you do, Lauren. You know
Review.
everybody there in this industry.
He's a great guy, actually. He comes across pretty ominous. He's a really tall man, but he is a real sweetheart. Very smart man and very successful. Actually, he was the one who was in line to be the CEO of GM, and they decided to put Mary Barra in charge, so he's second in command. Mainly the fact with Cadillac, in your question, is he took it over from Johan de Nessen, who left. They was basically let go. They had a disagreement where they had moved Cadillac to New York. They had put out some new product, but now he's bringing it back to Detroit, where it's all under the mothership. And you're going to see some changes there. We've got the Cadillac XT4. In 2 weeks, we'll see at the Detroit Auto Show some new product coming out as well. So we're really excited about that. We'll see the Chevy Blazer. We're going to see a lot of new products. And since Mark's at the top, I think you're going to see some really exciting product. The key with the auto industry, and this is one thing I've always said about Ford, you need to have someone at the top who understands cars, who's a real enthusiast. Mark loves Camaros and Corvettes. That's how I know him, is because of automotive vehicles. Actually, he knew my father, so it's like very tight industry. He is a true car guy, and I think he's going to really help General Motors. You're
in that Camaro club that I know you're in, Lauren. Well, talk about GM's strategy a little bit in light of electric and self-driving vehicles, especially in North America and China. Is that an area that they're going to continue to focus upon?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of going electric and autonomous, and I'll tell you why. First off, number one, General Motors did reach at the end of this year 200,000 vehicles sold. They are losing the EV tax credit on their vehicles, which means they cut in half. Like Tesla, it was $7,500. It goes to $3,750, and then in June it'll cut it in half again, and then cut in half again by the end of 2019. This is going to be a huge impact on their sales. Remember, the Chevy Bolt is a very reasonably priced vehicle, but to lose that tax incentive will lose that type of customer. People that want these vehicles are buying them, and with last year's sales being around 17.1 million light vehicles, cars, and trucks, that's less than 2% for electric vehicles. So why would you invest even more into electric vehicles unless there's a government incentive? And so this is the thing. If you want to sell vehicles in California, which GM does, and all the four of their divisions, you must sell a plug-in electric car. And they are. But the fact is they're just not selling. And the Chevy Bolt hasn't been what they thought it would be. Tesla is the leader in electric vehicles, whether we like them or not. Nissan Leaf is also there, and a bunch of other companies. So we need to know that why would you invest in something you take a loss on in every vehicle and that consumers aren't buying? And autonomous is way off. We're looking right now, based on the federal government, somewhere around 2025 at the potential earliest. So I think we're way off from that.
Let me ask you, I did a little headline on Apple, and I know you follow the news, but one of the problems with Apple, and a quarter of their revenue, as I said in our headline earlier, is from China, is that, the GDP per person in China is $10,000. In the U.S., for example, it's $63,000. So it makes me think, is there a similar problem with electric vehicles, Lauren, where they're trying to sell these more expensive vehicles into an emerging market, China particularly, but the greater China too, Taiwan and Hong Kong, in a place where the consumers can't afford them?
That's true, and that's the same thing that happens here. You're looking at the EV tax credits that they're talking about eliminating, and General Motors and Tesla are really begging to have back. The current administration is probably not going to let that happen. So if you eliminate EV tax credits, consumers aren't going to buy those cars. When you look at the total number of people that purchased vehicles, electric vehicles, $250,000 is what they make on average here in the U.S. That's 78% of the sales. And you go, okay, let's back that down to people that make $100,000 or more. That's about 90% of the people that use the EV tax credit. Now, if you were going to take that EV tax credit and offer it to people who had normal salaries, who had normal lives, they might be more likely to use it, but it ends up being that tax credit goes to the wealthy people to buy their third, fourth, fifth, sixth car. So I think that we have to look at this factor. If you want an expensive electric vehicle, go buy a BMW i8 or the Audi e-tron, and they got a new GT Coupe or BMW. There's a ton of great products out there. But buying an average car is what you need to sell a lot of in order for electric vehicles to take any sort of grip. And I will tell you this from personal experience, it is hard to find a charging station that's either available or one that's in your area in the bulk of the middle of the country, and that's where they need to sell these vehicles. So I'm not seeing great traction on electric vehicles. I think there will be a mixture of solutions depending upon where you live in your lifestyle.
Yeah, you know, and that's so true when you think about, you know, I started the question off with China. I mean, you know, if you're not in, you know, Shanghai, Beijing, or Shenzhen, or a few other places, they're going to have that same problem that you continue to point out, and I think you're so right. Lauren Fix, the car coach, it's so great to have you back with us, Lauren. We learn something every time you are with us. Thank you so much for being there.
Anytime, Bart. Thank you.